What's going on, guys? It's Deshra from the Saint Soldier Project.
And it's Matab, and today we have a very cool guest. We're standing outside a store right now. We're about to go in, and honestly, it's a really big honor for us to film this individual, Chandan from Chandan Fashion. Deshra, take it away.
Yeah, man. So in this podcast, we're going to be talking about today with him his Netflix life, the struggles and triumphs he went through to get that show from like a dream that he started to what he kind of has now. He talks about what it's like running a female industry, and we kind of pose him with these very difficult questions, and we really dive deep into what Chandan did for this store, what he's done for the show, and what he's done, and how he's raised this kind of empire for bridal wear and set like a big stone, stepping stone for kind of like South Asian community. So we get into a lot of nice topics and we have a little fun, and we're gonna make this a two-parter.
Yeah.
So yeah, hope you guys enjoy, and let's get started.
Yeah.
Man, this is huge for us. Me and Matal were like on the way talking. We're just like, man, like, we've had guests on, but like you're like officially our first like big guest, like it's sometimes like hard to believe that like we have a Netflix star, and then also like someone that's like local and like true to us. So first of all, thank you so much for letting us entertaining this, and thank you so much for having the patience to do this, because truthfully this means a lot more to us than you think it might.
I see you guys working hard, setting up your own craft over here, your own stuff, and I saw your podcast pop up, I think, on my social media. So it definitely meant that something was working for you guys, right? Where it's even coming across my algorithm, and I was like, oh, these guys up in there are doing their thing, and I just love supporting new come up startup businesses. I think that's one of the things that I learned, that growing up there wasn't a lot of support necessarily always around me. So then when I was put in a position to be able to support, whether financially or my time, I always like to do that. Like wedding shows, new people taking a crack at it, and I'll be the first one to be like, let's try it, let's sign up. And if it's not a success, it's not a success. But if it is, then that's great, and if it isn't, then you learn from it. So there's lots of cool opportunities over here, and I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I think
you guys are proof that you can be successful.
Thank you, man. No, honestly, it's a big deal for us to have like you on the show, and to actually like interact with you on a personal level and everything like that. And it's been super fun. And yeah, from here, who knows where it will go, and it's just exciting to kind of see where everything lands. Yeah, perfect, man. But yeah, we already kind of talked, and then we had to like almost cut out and not get too deep into the conversations, because when we first met, it was like, okay, this could be a podcast. We're like, let's just stop it here, because it's gonna get like rehearsed, right? So we wanted to kind of like start off. So do your thing, introduce yourself, introduce your business. Like, who is Chandan? What is Chandan Fashion? Go for it.
I think that's one of the interesting things about this podcast, before I introduce myself, is that like-minded people kind of attract like-minded people. So when I saw the podcast, I was like, man, like these things these guys are talking about, from entrepreneurship to supporting our own community to things that are happening in our community, it's important that we have this platform. And, as I introduced myself, that's why we did the Netflix show. It was important for us to create a community. That was really important for me growing up. But to everyone watching, my name is Chandan Singh. I am third generation entrepreneur. My dad started a business back in 1984 called Chandan Fashion on Gerrard Street, Little India, one of the OG places where the South Asian community first started popping up right here in North America. It used to be, and I think it's to some extent still is, the largest South Asian bazaar in North America, where we have 150 stores. We work really hard at revitalizing the area. I'm one of the board of directors for the BIA there as well, the business improvement area, along with about 6-7 other board members. And we make decisions to keep that area up and revitalize as much as possible, with the different changings that we have right now of community moving out in different areas in Toronto and abroad. Let's see, what else do I do? I handle all marketing for the store. So I do all that, all the marketing for the store, social media, offline. Then we started, one of the dreams I had was to have a TV show based on the clothing and the whole South Asian wedding concept. I remember being younger, probably one of the few guys that would say that they watched Yes to the Dress a little bit here and there, because I thought the concept was so interesting, where you have these dresses and these brides are coming in and their families are there watching them try on the dresses and giving their feedback, and sometimes you see this natural family dynamic that happens. And I thought, man, this would be so interesting if it was South Asian. Number one, the outfits are way more colorful, there's way more variety. Not every dress is just white. And if you've ever been around our South Asian families, things
yeah.
get even more
I mean, look
colorful
around. We got all
with
these crazy, beautiful
yeah,
colors.
yeah. But even like personalities, like
Absolutely, yeah.
mother-in-laws with
Chaos,
daughter-in-laws
man.
and
Yeah.
cousins and sisters and brothers. When you have all these opinions in there around weddings, it can be quite animated at times, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be so interesting to be a show around there. And then we were at a wedding show, and Gurjeet, who's one of the co-creators for the show BOLLYWED, approached me, and he's like, "Hey man, I would love to shoot a family sitcom reality style lifestyle show on somebody." And I know a lot about your dad. Your dad's pretty famous in Toronto, in the area. He's been a staple in the South Asian garment industry for a long time. He's done shows with Hrithik Roshan, Shah Rukh Khan, Shilpa Shetty, from so many different actors. He can't even count.
Dharminder.
Yeah, Dharminder,
He's
Sunny,
got the whole
Bobby,
lineup.
tons of people. Yeah, Rakesh Roshan. Yeah, Dharminder and him used to be neighbors back in Fagwada. Yeah, they had their houses across each other. So he's always been very well plugged into the community. And I think that they thought that Dad would be a great character on the show. And I told him I really wanted to shoot, yes, the dress, the South Asian version. And we kind of combined the ideas, and we kind of came up with this show where people try on outfits. They get married. We go a little bit further than what I ever thought, which is we actually go to their weddings. They invite us to some of their most intimate moments, and we're there with our family, and we're shooting the whole thing. We shot 3 seasons so far. You can find it on CBC, CBC Gem, Netflix, YouTube, Fuse TV in the USA, British Airways, Emirates, Qatar Airlines, Dubai Air, Singapore Air, a bunch of airlines. And it's amazing to see that so many people from around the world, from different communities, are reaching out to us saying that, hey man, we really relate to your family. People that aren't even South Asian, from Mexicans to people from South Africa. We have our shows in Turkey. We have TLC in Turkey that's picked up the show. We had just had someone just reach out from Switzerland. So we have all these cool places around the world that are watching this little community that we've created on air for the last 3 years. And we're able to present it to the world. So that's one of the part-time things I think I do. It's almost like feels like a full-time job, just being on a show where you're filming 5 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day between all the family members, and it can be exhausting. But yeah, that was really important for us to do that.
For sure, representation, man. It's huge. And I know, like, as we've grown up and with the next generation, we've seen like a huge surge in this representation, right? Whether it's like Diljit and Sidhu and these kind of like artists, like musical artists, music guys, but just in general, like knowledge of people overall, whether it's like TV shows, music, movies, like stuff that you've done and everything, right? And I think one point that like he mentioned specifically, which like you and I kind of get to, is maybe even unwillingly, is we'll get like the people reach out to us and be like, yo man, like you're talking about stuff that I'm going through or I'm experiencing, and it's a lot of times it's just normal stuff, right? It's like normal experiences, normal interactions, but every like, whether it's like a Punjabi family or whether in our case it's like the young Punjabi first generation, those kind of guys that are going through all these whatever different experiences and things like that. They're like, yeah, I've gone through this too, and it's like you guys are kind of talking about it and giving it some light and bringing it to surface.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that was important to me. Like I think we talked about this off air, where growing up, being born here in the 80s and growing up in the 90s, the only thing we had on TV that looked close to us in terms of representation were Bollywood movies. The very rare odd Punjabi movie for our community specifically that we relate to. And it was never as polished as the Bollywood movies. We all know that, but it's still great to see our culture. And then we had like Eye on Asia. We had Mr. Sahota, and we had his daughter. We had a couple radio programs on. But as a kid who was born here in Toronto in Canada, I would never want to watch that or relate to that. I'm like, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I'd rather watch cartoons over Eye on Asia
Absolutely,
on
yeah,
Saturday
yeah,
morning,
100%,
right?
yeah.
But then like our parents had it on stable. It was on lock every day. That was the time they would watch the show. And it wasn't just something that I could relate to. So it always, growing up in Toronto, anyone that's grown up here, especially, not in a very South Asian neighborhood like Brampton, I was born and raised in East York. I didn't have very many South Asians that lived around me, let alone any Punjabis. So it was always hard to sort of fit in, identify, do I fit in with the Jewish community? Do I fit in with the Caucasian Christian community? Do I fit in with the African American community? Like where Asian, South Asian community? It's like, it was a big mixing pot. It was really cool. Don't get me wrong. I have a big mixed group of friends. And it's amazing that to this day, we all still keep in touch from completely different backgrounds and different races and creeds. But when it came to our community, I didn't really make the full connection. The only connection I really had was the store. We had Indian music playing. We had people coming in to buy South Asian wear. That was my biggest connection. So it was tough, dealing with my own identity, being a Siddhar, being a Sikh, not knowing anybody that looks like me growing up, not relating to anybody on TV. Nowadays, I mean, this, especially the last 5 years, it's completely different. We're so blessed to have, people like Diljit, like you said, representing Karan, representing, Just Rain doing his show, representing.
It's a very proud feeling.
Huge feeling. And the momentum is insane. And that's why I think the show took so long to be picked up. We first shot the pilot in 2014. And it was just me. I wasn't married. It was totally single. It was me, my dad, my sister was in it. We were just little kids on the show. And at what I think we were 22 at the time. Johnny was still a teenager, and mom was on the show and I was on the show. We shot a pilot. It was like 5-6 minutes, and it was cool. It was a really cool pilot. I would show it to people. They're like, "Oh, this is very interesting. I would love to see more." I'm like, "Well, it's just a pilot. Hopefully it gets picked up." And then we heard nothing for a year. And then 2015, the production company, Hard Hat Entertainment, came back to us and they were like, "Okay, we brought on a bigger partner. We're going to shoot a second pilot. We're going to put more money behind the pilot." We got good interest from it, but we still have a network yet to pick it up. And I was like, "Okay, this time we're going to make it for sure." And in 2015, we did the pilot. We did a lot more. We did a dance number and all that, the intro section. They put a lot more resources into it. And I was like, "Okay, now we made it for sure." And I'm like, just thinking that this is going to be it. And again, nothing. We got rejection letter after rejection letter. And every time we would get a rejection letter in an email inbox that the production company would send it out to Omni TV, TLC, Slice, they would say, "We have no room for wedding out shows. We have no room for specialized South Asian content. It's not the right time." And I was always reply with, "This is exciting. I'm so glad that people are looking at it. I can't wait for the show to be picked up. It's not a matter of if, but when." I believed in the concept so focused that I knew that it would work. I knew that our community is craving something like this. And then that's when 22 rejection later, and 7 years later, 2021, we finally heard back and we heard that Crave was interested. And then CBC was interested in Just Rain show. And then there were some talks and we ended up switching networks. And I think we ended up being picked up by CBC and Crave picked up Late Bloomer. And it was great. It was a great time. Shout out to Late Bloomer show. I bugged Chaps a lot. Chaps, who's the executive producer, one of the executive producers on that show. I bugged him a lot. I'm like, "Dude, I'm starting this Bollywood show. I have no idea what I'm getting into. You've been in film with Just Rain pretty much your whole adult life. Give me some tips." And I kidnapped him one day. We went out for coffee and I just kept him in my car for like 2 hours and just drilled him with lots of questions. And we hadn't even signed the contract at that time. I was still trying to get advice of how to get my parents on board because nobody wanted to do the show.
Oh, really?
Nobody wanted to do the show. Johnny was like, "Absolutely no." My wife was freaked out. She's super private. She doesn't even have like a public Instagram page. And mom and dad were like, "Nee, nazar lag jayegi, loki ki kahege, loki ki hoega, o hoega, e su kar dena, e ho jana." And I'm like,
They're
"Guys,
gonna copy our designs.
people are going to copy our designs. People will just come after us from the woodworks, suing us for no reason." And they were so fearful. But I mean, that's unfortunately the side effect of sometimes our community is that we can be really...
So you touched on a question that I was going to ask you anyway, which was the struggles of the Netflix series and, like 22 rejections, which is insane. Like, you really were a one-man army because your family didn't want to be a part of it.
No.
They were scared. Nobody really believed in you. And then it was just you. Tell us about how it is working in a female industry and as a man, understanding how you need to tailor to that. Every day you're dealing with women, you're dealing with something that they like. How did you gain that vision for what they need? How do you tailor to that? Because I'm in the same industry for a different topic and I'm still struggling with it, right? Where I'm like, something I like is not maybe where their eye may meet. So you've been in this industry forever. Your father's been in it. You guys have been doing this for so long. How did you kind of tailor to that woman's touch and to get that female perspective?
That's a great question. And it's one that I haven't been asked a lot. It is really difficult, to be honest, especially being younger. A younger adult, where you're less confident about yourself, you're less confident about who you are, you're less confident about some of the questions that people might be asking you or just how you feel looked at and judged. So it was challenging where a lot of the people that were new in this industry or newer coming up or newer business that were opening up, people that maybe had started out on social media like Instagram, etc., working from the home, working from the basement, new and upcoming designers. It was a bunch of people that was hard to sometimes compete with in a way that it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like all these women are advertising their products, they're advertising their boutiques, they're advertising this, and then obviously women have a more relatability to women and men have more relatability to men. That's why you see a lot of men opening up suiting stores or suit specialization places less than ladies' dresses. But there is a big portion, once you understand fashion, you understand that some of the biggest tastemakers in the world, almost sex has nothing to do with it. It's just the fact of who are the biggest visionaries, like Karl Lagerfeld, or um, you know, there's so many people out there and so many women out there that have done amazing things. And I think one thing I realized is that they absolutely believe in their craft, and they're so knowledgeable about their product, and they're passionate about their product. And I think what I've learned over time is that the customers that I've been have successful interactions with, they actually believe in me as a person who is passionate about this craft. They can see my product knowledge. They can see me talking about stuff. And oftentimes the guys that are with them or even will make a comment like, wow, Chandan, you really know your stuff. I'm like, well, it's the same thing as if you're an accountant. You would easily be able to dissect a spreadsheet within seconds. You're actually passionate about what you do. You can see it. You can see past the numbers and the pages. For me, I can see past the kadai and the embroidery. I can see the bare bones, the elements, the blueprints. I can see the design, the vision, what a customer might like or not like. So when I speak so passionately about that, I think that's what customers really connect to. So if you're ever wondering, do I fit into this niche, or do I fit into this genre as a male or a female or someone in between? Just love what you do and be passionate about that, because that's all that people connect with at the end of the day.
You have to study the art, like regardless of what it is. And you're selling outfits on most women's biggest day of their life. Like that's the main thing, right? Where you're selling, you're not. It's not just like a party or whatever it is. I mean, obviously that happens too, but the bread and butter is these big, beautiful, like extravagant outfits where it's the biggest day of their life. And to understand what they want as a client, as a person, with their budget and all the other stuff that goes along with the business, like that's important. And like you said, you have to dissect the business and get down to its core. And then regardless, male, female, whatever, may not matter at the end of the day anyways.
Yeah, and if you have great role models, then that's even better. I mean, I had my parents to watch. So I had my mom to watch my whole life interact with every customer for 25 years before I even entered the business. You know what I mean? I had my dad, who's an absolute ninja at what he does. He's so passionate that when people come and shop with him, he literally will just floor them, and they'll just laugh and smile and giggle, and they're like, I can't believe this is happening. He just throwing kapre left, right, and center, and there's just like fabric flying all throughout the store, like something out of a movie, and you're just throwing saris, and he's just like, he deals with so much passion. He picked it up from his dad back in India, and they had a certain style and aesthetic of showing things, especially like the pro salespeople, and he's basically a professional salesperson. He loves what he does. He doesn't see himself doing anything else, and that's what brings him the most joy. Like, not real estate, not side businesses. We owned a restaurant for a little while, Bombay Bale, and we ended up shutting that after 3-4 years because he just couldn't put the passion into it as he did with the clothing. And then so watching them my whole life, I'm super privileged that I have that ability to learn and have a huge amount of experience in front of me. But guys and girls in our age nowadays can do the same thing. I'm sure that they can watch the hustle of their parents or their elders or their bigger siblings and kind of pick up cues and nuances, and that's the thing. You get something called tactic knowledge. That's like knowledge that's not really on books. It's like almost like transferable just by watching.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
watching my parents, understood as I went to marketing and I learned what tactic knowledge is. I was able to understand it and therefore absorb it better, and really watch out for those things better, of how they make a sale or close
Yeah.
a deal, or how they'll take a customer and make sure they feed them and they give them cha and mango juice and make them feel good about their whole experience.
I think
Yeah.
our parents' generation, they just had like grit. Like
Yeah.
they had to, right? It was
yeah.
non-optional.
I
Like
cannot work as hard as my
no,
dad and mom.
our
No
dad
way.
too,
I'm
like,
half
we-
a person in front of them.
There's a tarika, I don't know how else to say it, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's like a it's all, I look at my dad do business. You probably watch your dad do business for so long, and it's like, look at the amount of character and like trust they've built. It's like, my dad has sat there with customers and he's dealt with them for so long, and I'm like, how have you gripped him like this, or sitting there and talking to them, like almost shooting the shit for an hour before you even get into the business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Because
yeah.
then they even forget what they're doing. And when you watch, like, I'm sure if we had, your father come and sit down, and it's like, you could see probably it's quirks, right? Tarika quirks.
Yeah. Yeah.
The quirks that you pick up from your family, you're just like a evolved version of them. And then your dad was probably an evolved version of his father. And it's like, that thing is that like that key in the lock, that keeps the family secret of how is Chandan Fashion been running since 1984, right? And like, how have they done an outstanding job of like, you guys have a pink store in the middle of Jadar Street, and then now you've
Yeah.
come up with it's the coolest thing ever. But it's like, how is he different? Why is Cookie Uncle like such a big thing? Why is Chandan become such a big name in this industry? Because they pass that key, right? That secret, the secret formula, right?
It's the sauce, man.
It's the sauce. It's the sauce, and it is the.
And the sauce is honestly just giving a damn. It's caring about what you're doing. Like I tell people, if you're in this business or any business to chase money, it's not going to come that easily, and it's going to require a lot of effort. It's going to feel like pulling teeth. But if you actually chase success, and if you chase legacy, and if you chase, amazing customer experiences, and being grateful that, hey man, this person is spending $1 with you, that's basically funding your life and your lifestyle. So like every dollar that a customer spends with me, I tell them, it's like, whether if someone has a bad experience, I can't be perfect. And people say, oh, it's because I'm not a bridal client. I'm like, dude, you could be $100 client and I feel just the pain as someone who just spent $10,000 here. All you guys do is just fund our life and fund our lifestyle, and we're so grateful for that. So it's like every morning we come in, we must take at the front counter at the cash and say thank you for a beautiful day. We must take, and we kind of be gratitude. We give thanks, and we always make sure that we don't take that the ability to take $1 from a customer lightly. It comes with a lot of responsibility that I think some people will overlook. And, unfortunately, the new generation does feel like, hey, man, I'm entitled to that. I'm entitled to this. I'm entitled to this. I'm a business owner, so I'm drawing this line for
I think
myself.
the idea of having a business now, maybe in the last 5 years, and really the uprise of social media has just became like such an attractive thing. Like the concept of it, right? Everyone's like, forget 9 to 5. I want to be a business owner, right? Whether that's like selling stuff online or opening up a big store, like doesn't matter. The idea of it is so attractive to people, and because like they see the highlights of it all, right? The fun stuff and everything like that.
There's a lot of failed businesses along the way. I think anyone who is successful usually is successful with a lot of failed businesses, failed attempts. I ran a marketing firm that called marketing.com. I didn't do too well in that, and it was ahead of its time. No one back then. This is my only request was to help people make their Facebook pages and create a website for them. And this was back in like 2010 or so, and that was a failed business. I ran another company called Toronto Culinary Adventure Co. with a partner of mine, and we would do food tours. And I would do a food tour in Little India, and I would take people around, and they would buy a ticket online, and we would go from stop to stop and feed them a different of my favorite restaurants. See, this is where you get the best kebabs. Here's where you get the best golgappe. Here's where you get the best chili. And we did things like that. That was a fun thing. Learned a lot, but it was again another failed opportunity. But it's with those failures that you learn and you get really good at your craft. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, the grit that comes along with like a business is insane. Like the to-do list is never ending. You don't know what you're doing a lot of the times, and you're just figuring it out as is.
It's also amazing though, because it also is a sense of job security that you don't get because A, you employ yourself, but B, you know that everything is your fault, whether you're successful or whether you're a failure. It's all your fault. And so if you can understand that concept and understand that no matter my output will always be dictated by my input. If you're not happy with the results, then look at how much are you really putting in and how effective is the time or those hours or your strategy. And see if you need to maybe adjust that, because at the end of the day, it's your fault.
Yeah.
It's like people are making money out here, dude. People are eating bread. People are eating. It's all about what makes you so different from this other person out there making money online or in person or on TikTok just selling candy. It's all about how much hustle or how much grit you're willing to be put in.
I think you need to watch one thing these days on the topic of like you guys were discussing social media. I think too many people are watching these days, right? And I think somebody like one of the best advice I've heard is like, especially for businesses, before you run, walk, right? And taking like people that have these empires and these legacies built, like they were built over time, right? Like anything I see nowadays, I try to tell myself this. It's hard with social media because you see so many people, they paid to do something and it's glamorous, right? They paid for a rental and it looks really cool. I think authenticity, and it's been studied too, that authenticity and like being genuine is one of the characteristics and factors that kind of like transcends through your customers and clients, that they can feel, right? You sit with them and you kind of give them that like, hey, I'm not here. A lot of people come to me, and I'm sure a lot of people have come to you and kind of, given this kind of phrase where like, hey, I want to do something. I want to, pick, because it takes time to pick out one of these things. I don't want to waste your time. And I'm like, hey, you're not wasting my time. Like, this is my job.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I want to sit
100%,
here with you.
it's part of the process. Yeah.
I want to sit here with you. And if we don't make a sale, that's okay. Yeah. A lot of people come up with opportunities and they say, like, I don't want to waste your time. I'm like, no, man. Like, I will learn something and I will take away something from every single opportunity, because I know how to deal with someone I can't close. I know how to deal with someone who I can close. And so I think with social media, that's one thing that is lacking, is that authenticity. Our parents, the generation just before us, just before us, just before me, they didn't even grow these businesses on social media. So you couldn't even reach 1,000 people with a click, or 10,000
No way.
or a million with your case,
Yeah.
right? But they did it through sitting down and like, really reaching into that person's like heart or feelings, and then, getting that like, hey, we're here to do business, right? But not just that. So I'm going to throw it back onto you, and I really want to know, how did you build Chandan Fashion? Why did you decide to open up that second location, which is this? And what's next? What are you planning? What's the end goal? Where do you want to take this? Because you got a kid, right? Which I want to touch on, and we want to talk about how complicated that's been with all this.
It's
But
wild
your
even saying it
dad
out
grew
loud.
something.
Yeah. It's wild even you saying it out loud. It's like, oh yeah, I have a kid.
No,
yeah,
I
yeah, I
know,
got
I
that
know.
thing. Like,
Yeah, no, we
a
want
little
to take
kid
like
at
this
home.
from the business side of things to now like what is Chandan Fashion's legacy, and then like understand how that
Where do you wanna
works
go?
and like
That's
what
a big question,
Put it
Yeah,
guys.
out
Yeah,
there. This is
yeah.
manifestation.
Yeah, 100%. So I didn't want, to be honest, guys, I'm not going to BS you and your audience. I wanted nothing to do with the family business. I think with a lot of kids growing up, especially that can relate to me from like, that were born in the 80s and 90s, most people didn't want anything to do with their parents' grocery store, their parents' jewelry store, their parents' kapade store, their parents' restaurant, their parents' dry cleaning business, the corner store that sold, candies and milk. Nobody wanted to do anything to do with it in our age bracket, growing up. It wasn't cool. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't on social media. There was nowhere that you could even fake or flaunt it or even be appraised for it for doing so well. It was just private and no one wanted to do it. It sucked. Everyone was taught to go to college, go to university, get a degree, and पढ़ लिख जा, doctor ban ja, engineer ban ja, pharmacist ban ja, whatever,
professional
right?
license
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah,
And I went down the same path. Mom and dad really wanted me to go down the education route, so they really spent a lot of investment into me as a kid, even when they couldn't afford to do so. They put me through school, they put me through university, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I tried to, be the good Indian science kid. I did the 6-pack, the algebra, geometry, calculus, data management, all in high school. And then in university, I did the organic chem, physics, all the classes that I really sucked at. And eventually after first year, I was like, man, like this is not bringing me joy and I don't want to do this. And I remember sitting in my chem lab and I was, I think balancing neutrons or atoms or some shit. And I was just like, man, I'm so miserable doing this. And this is absolutely like pulling teeth. And I'm supposed to be a biochem student. I got to do this for how many more years? And I remember I got out of class and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, what the? Calm down. Don't worry. And I'm just like in almost near tears because I came to that point where I'm like, this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life. Like I tried doing it for you guys and I tried to be the good Indian kid and go down this route. And I realized that it's not what I wanted to do. Now I knew I believed I liked education. I liked going to university. I liked learning, but I just absolutely hated what I was learning. And I didn't want to do this rest of my life, be a pharmacist and mix, it just wasn't for me. Yeah. And I ended up second year basically taking none of my major courses and I took all electives. And I just was like, you know what, let me just try different things. And I think that's one advice I got from a guidance counselor who's like, you know what, not everybody figures it out their first year. For those of you guys in university watching or college watching, not everyone figures it out their first year. I didn't figure it out the first year. And I think I did okay for myself. So if you guys are beating yourself up at home and not really able to know what you're going to do in life yet, not everyone has it figured out early. So that's okay. Everyone has their own path. And that's something that it took me a while to realize. So I took a bunch of electives and I ended up liking a lot marketing, and I went to school for marketing and I wanted nothing to do with the family business. I was like, I was going to be a marketer. I'm going to go down that corporate. And then I did that for a little bit. And then dad ended up saying, Chandan, I really need help on the weekends. And I think for anyone that has a small business or parents that own a small business, know that when your parents ask for help, it's really hard to say no, especially if they provide you with a roof over your head and, they provide you with the clothes on your back and at least you can do is help out.
Yeah, you're owed that much at least. Or
Yeah,
they're
you're
owed
owed that much,
exactly,
at least to
yeah.
help on the weekends. And then, so I work, Monday to Friday, and then I would help them Saturday, Sunday, and then that became Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then became Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And next thing I know, I kind of got a little bit sucked into the business. And I think this is the one tip I'll give for parents watching the podcast. If you have kids that are you want to get involved in the family business but have no interest, let them get involved by their interests. Yes, you have to coerce them a little bit to get them in, but once they're in, allow them to make moves, allow them to make decisions, make them feel involved, whether it be like, hey mom, I want to shoot this TikTok video. I think it's going to be funny of you dancing. Yeah, you might look stupid, but at the same time, you're encouraging your kid and you're allowing them to get interest into the business. So I was learning at school certain concepts. Once I switched to marketing and I ended up taking that major. By my third year, I learned in retail marketing something called brand recognition. McDonald's, why are they, red and gold, right? It's brand recognition. The certain Coke, that Coke red color, it's very, very iconic. The Pepsi blue, the BMW blue, there's certain colors that are very iconic. So I was like, what can be something that stands for us? And at that time, we didn't have anything like that. We had business cards, but nothing that was, it was always revolving. It was something my dad would get made in India, and he'd bring it back by hand, and it'd be like Chandan Fashion was a picture of him at the front, and a picture of like the
big is
lenga
my
at the back,
face?
right? Yeah, and his face over there. So I ended up thinking that, what would be cool in the South Asian industry is that we're very colorful. So I ended up bringing the pink and blue concept in. I made it into a business card, and then I made it into bags. And then one day I told my dad I want to paint the whole building from peach to pink and blue. And he's like, you've lost your mind.
It was your idea.
Yeah, he's like, you lost your mind. He's like, there's no way I'm painting my building that. And the building was like a really nice, but peach color. It was very drab. It was very safe. And I was like, we're little India. I would love for it to stand out. Not everyone maybe recognizes the Chandan name right now. And there are other businesses out here that are doing better than us and are doing well. But I would like to at least have a identity in Gerard that people would say, hey man, I can't remember the name of that store, but that big blue and pink building, I want to go there. I had a good experience there last time. I bought something nice from there. So I went and I proposed him to change it, and he thought I was crazy. And he ended up serving, I kid you not, like 100 people, from customers to family to friends to relatives. मेरा पुत्र कहंदा building change करना हैगा की करिए आप मैं हटदा नहीं हैगा मंदा नहीं हैगा कहंदा करना so की करा. And then he ended up bringing samples in, and people were like so divisive. Like 50-50 would say support him, go for it, and the other 50 would say that's ugly, it's hideous, it's an eyesore, it's hot blue and pink, that's going to be stupid, right?
On a corner building.
But then, what he did was exactly that. He ended up believing in me, and he ended up allowing me to make such a big decision. And it's not a cheap decision. This is like, at that time, like a $60,000 investment.
I wanted to close out that question. I'm curious to learn the answer. You had a science kind of background going into school. You did what the classic, the Trinity doctor,
Yep.
lawyer, engineer.
Yep.
Right. I myself did the same. Matab's an architect. He did the same. Right. And then you kind of like, slowly transitioned into the business, and,
Yeah.
you were always exposed by it because your dad was doing he was gaining that business a lot. Now, quick question, was it called Chandan at the time? Like when did it go from?
No, actually, when they opened in 1984, he opened a few doors down than where we are right now. It was a rental property, and he was in there with a partner. And that was 84. He got his little bit of experience over there. The partnership ended up not working out. I was born in 86 of February, and at 86 October, they opened the store. So it was a few months later. Dad was really hyped out about having a kid, and he named it after me, Chandan Fashion.
That's so
In
awesome.
fact, in India, he has a store named after him. His father in Punjab, in Fagwara, has a store called Cookie Silk Store. And so my dad has a store named after him in India that his dad
I never knew
named after
that.
him, and I got one over
You know
here.
that?
Yeah, that's
And so
season
now
3.
people
yeah.
ask me, he's like, Chandan, are you going to name the next one after your son? And I was like, I don't think I have a choice. I might have to.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can't not do it.
You
man.
have to. Now, you're at the point where you've opened up your store, right?
This place out here, yeah.
Yep.
Chandan
And-
Heritage.
Chandan Heritage, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful store. It's really nice out here in downtown Brampton. And then I want to know, like, now you've got your own, right? You got a son on board, and that must be crazy. We're gonna expand into that, but tell me what's next, man. Like, what is the next plan? What's the legacy you're trying to leave? Where is this going?
Yeah, so the legacy was really to make the Chandan brand continue to grow. It's what my dad's legacy is. He's put 41 years now, we're celebrating. His life and tears and sweat in there. Same with my mom. Like, they worked 50-50 their whole life. Like, mom and dad, they're Batman and Robin. What mom can do, dad can't do. And what dad can do, my mom can't do. And then they both complement each other so well. And right now with this store, it's exactly what I've always wanted. I always wanted a place that I could call my own a little bit from, where dad and mom have their aesthetic at their store and their way of running business. I, as someone who's born here, wanted to do it a bit more a Canadian way,
Modern.
Canadian North
Yeah,
American
yeah.
way, a bit more modern way, right? Having sit-down consultations with your whole family, having one-to-one experiences, having this cool ramp that you can come and walk up and down with your family, and we can make it match your decor and theme, and really just provide a fun experience that feels less like a chore and more like you're having fun shopping for the biggest day of your life.
Yeah, make it like a
And
full experience.
yeah, I
Yeah,
wanted to
exactly.
treat others how I would want to be treated. If I was going to go wedding shopping today, this is what I would want to go to, if that makes sense. Like, I would want this experience. And we're still a work in progress. I mean, I know we're still, even now, 2 years later, 2.5 years later, we're still into getting more help, hiring, growing people, and hiring different people to build out different processes. And we're still trying to improve. It's a work in progress, especially when you start a new business. And this does feel, although it does have the Chandan brand, we do share the same manufacturers as the Chandan Fashion store, which we call Chandan Flagship now, but the products are completely different. What we carry here, we don't carry there, and what's over there, we don't carry over here. So we try to make the two stores have a distinct feel from the type of outfits we have, the quality, the garments, the amount of customizations you can do at this store. It's a bit more one-on-one, and that store is a bit more, a little bit of everything. So you have a 4 or 5 story showroom, one of the largest in Canada, and it has anything you could possibly want for your wedding day. Um, and the legacy, I really want us to be across North America. I think that'd be a really amazing dream of mine. We have the 2 stores now. I hope to have a 3rd store open by next year. And I always wanted to build 3 stores, learn how to open multiple stores, and still be in ownership of all of it. And then once I have the systems in down, which I've built now with this store, I have a certain system and process, which we've been trial and error for the past 2 years. We didn't have certain SOPs, and now that we have those down on paper, I'm going to apply it to the 3rd store and see how it feels in terms of opening a 3rd store. And then once I have the 3 open, then I'm going to look into maybe start looking at a franchise model and try to bring the Chandan brand out to Calgary, Edmonton,
the
West
West End, I know.
Coast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
West End, and
California is a
honestly,
dream of mine.
go a little lower
Yeah.
into the US and
Yeah, I really
stuff.
want to open something in
Could you
California.
imagine?
It's been
I was
always
gonna
a
say,
huge goal
yeah.
of mine ever since I was a kid. I visited out in Cali, and I was like, man, it would be a dream to open a store out here and be living off, the West Coast on the water, on the beach somewhere. That'd be like a dream come true.
There's a huge Punjabi
Yeah.
community over in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, like
yeah.
you would be the perfect fit there, because that's it. Even in that community, it's a very like modern Indian kind of base, and that's exactly what I think you guys do, is that you bring that traditional kind of like, these heavy kind of langas and stuff like that, and then you have that modern touch with your skills, right? And even what your dad does out
The whole
here.
family, the whole family. Like,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
wife
yeah.
is in the business, so she helps a lot with the design eye, and she really is able to give me feedback on some outfits from a woman's perspective and what some women might or might not like. Sleeve lengths, for example. No, you know what? Don't have it here, have it here,
Yeah,
or have the
little
pattern this
nuances
way.
and
So
things
I'm
like
able to
that.
get
Yeah.
great feedback. I'm super grateful that she also has left her pharmaceutical full-time gig and
Yeah.
joined me here in the business,
Yeah.
and she's been able to give me her input since COVID. She was kind of forced to help me
You're gonna have all these
because
like
everything was
pharmacists listening.
closed.
They're gonna be like, "Yo, man, I
Yeah.
need to go into the bridal industry."
Right.
At
And
the
then
end of the day,
Johnny was in disability studies, and she also has, since the show happened, she ended up not returning to her workplace and helped with me on the show full time. And now she's also in the business full time, running logistics and making all our events come to life, handling all the admin stuff. And it's amazing. It does literally take a family to be able to do what we do.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not
I
one
agree.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
And
5 of us who put in.
and it's the best way, because you have that family aspect. Me and my brother face this a lot. We do business together, and we're at each other's heads. We're But the thing is, even though that happens, like we had an argument this morning. You know what I mean? Like, and last night, and we're just like, it doesn't matter, because we look at each other. We're like, yo, it's go time. And that's the same thing that.
I still gotta go home to the guy at the end of the day and like deal with it anyways, right?
Yeah, I got to deal with you tomorrow. It's not like
Yeah.
an employee. You're
No.
my brother. That's your wife, and that's your dad. That's your mom. You gotta lock in as soon as it comes time, and that's the best thing about working with family. I encourage it. I think it's awesome. If you have that ability to do it, you should. And so everybody knows about your family. Everyone knows about the store. Everyone knows about Chandan Fashion. We don't know a lot about you, and I don't, and I want to know. So first, let's start with the kid. Right, you had a newborn son.
Yeah.
Right,
Huge
introduce him.
congratulations.
Thank you,
on
yeah.
baby boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels
what an
crazy.
incredible blessing, right?
Huge.
So give me a little bit of insight on, the baby boy. How has it been, just as a human, human to human, how has it been just having that child in your life? And then tell me about what you do to make you, outside of langas and dupattas and all that, right?
I really feel like the one thing I've always tried to do is try to be authentic as possible. I think that's one thing, as you mentioned earlier, we're missing online, and sometimes people, when they run businesses, they can have a very unauthentic lens. But Yeah, I try to be as vulnerable as possible, and I actually don't have a personal Chandan Singh even page or personal account really anywhere on Instagram. I had my personal account, and I changed the last name from Singh to Fashion, and that's how the Chandan Fashion Instagram page was first even
Oh, like you had the namesake.
born.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally took my first like 200-300 friends and made them my first 200-300 followers.
So we did, man,
And
with this podcast.
yeah, and then I just converted my personal account into my business account, and that's how I started Chandan Fashion Instagram page. And now we're at like 94,000. And it's been a long journey, but I've always tried to be authentic as possible to answer your question. So when I go to the airport and I have to do a shipment pickup, and I'm like, man, I have to pick up this package for a bride because I am late, and so I don't have time to wait for a delivery, and I'm here because I promised I would deliver, and so I'll capture that and I'll post it online. When we're at family events or we're at a pod or something like that, I'll post a snippet of it and I'll share it. If I go through struggles of, hey man, I messed up our order, I'm having to take a flight to India right now, and I'll be back in like a week because I really have to make it right for this bride, I'll document that. So one thing I've learned through sharing my life on social and everything is document, don't create. Don't create a fabricated lifestyle. Don't create polished videos, and I don't bother with CapCut and editing things. I'll just post things raw, and I find that has the most highest level of authenticity. When my kid was born, I didn't really know how to share that private moment of what I'm going through in my life right now, but I know that people are trying to reach out to me, people are trying to look for me, people are trying to message me, and I'm like not available at all. So I just took a little snap at, with respecting my wife's privacy of in the hospital room, it's go time. And then people were overwhelmingly, congratulatory and positive and wishing me well wishes, and also like understood that, hey man, I understand that you're super busy right now, but I'll leave this message for you here, and I know if you can't get back to me, it's okay.
Yeah.
So just being honestly vulnerable is really important. But on who am I on a daily life? It's crazy. It's hard to say what I am because it's like, I
I think
have
you
this
just get too
perspective of me
engulfed with like
online.
the brand that is
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
this whole thing.
There's like this Chandan Singh who's on the reality show, and you see a perspective of him. But yeah, I kind of am like that. I do love hockey. I've always been passionate about that since I was a kid. Born and raised in Toronto. I've been a Leafs fan, suffering Leafs fan my whole life. Used to play ice hockey when I was like I think 6 or 7, and then roller hockey, and then I've always been a hockey fan. So Leafs games are somewhere where I usually block myself off for a little bit for 3 hours as much as possible, especially during the playoffs. And for fun, I just like to golf here and there. I've been trying to get into that a bit more with my friends. So I've been golfing a little bit more, trying to pick up that transition from hockey to golf a little bit. It's a fun time to just, relax maybe once a month or once every 2-3 months in my case, to just unplug for a little bit and be outdoors in nature. Other than that, I'm a big kid at heart. I am such a big kid. My wife says it. She's like, I feel like I have 2 babies now. I have to baby you, and now I have another 2-month-old. Love cartoons, Dragon Ball, and things like that.
I like to
grew
hear
up
that.
on
He's just like us.
cartoons.
Yeah.
Man.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
What about
yeah.
health and fitness? Are you what are you on that? Because I mean, you have to. I noticed, like, especially when you're running a tight ship, you gotta be all the way up there, right? You gotta have all your signals going. You're performing right all the time, and so in a good way. But like, you got to be ready for that customer. You got to have the high energies. Like, what do you do? And I want to know, because we're entering this field. Like for everybody that's listening, like, how do you stay? Because you're human at the end of the day. You have the same amount of time as us, as everyone. What are you doing at this high performance level? Because I saw you're taking phone calls every day. You're in meetings while eating. Like, does this become your life? Is this a snippet that people see of your life, or is this really what you have to do to be at this level?
No, you really have to do this to be at this level. You do. You have to have everything in check, and I'm not perfect at it. The way I think of how one person can almost look at their own self as a life is if you look at a wheel, it has multiple spokes on it, and just imagine a wheel that has like maybe for you maybe 10 spokes, maybe 12, maybe 16. But I learned this in a seminar I went to, a personal growth seminar, and shout out to Sunny Setia, who's a great business coach for anyone interested.
Oh, I know him.
Oh, you know
Yeah,
Sunny
I read his
Setia?
book.
Yeah, he has a great book. Yeah, he has a great book.
What is it? How to Be Rich or whatever, that one?
Something like that, yeah. He has a Redline Sales Training Academy. Entrepreneurs Academy is the name of his company. So I took his course, and over there is kind of where I realized of how many different facets we have in life. And one thing he kind of explained the concept is that think of your life as a wheel. You have multiple different spokes. You should have one spoke that maybe has to do with your career, one with your family life, one with your friends' life, one with your social circle, one with your own spiritual self, one with maybe your community service, one with your personal health. You have all these different spokes, and if anytime one of them suffers, just know that life can be bumpy. That's not going to be a smooth ride. What you should try to attain for is kind of balance everywhere. the last 3 years, I feel like I haven't personally been able to pay proper attention to my personal health life. A lot of that has suffered because it's working 12-hour days and being back to back for 5 days a week shooting a TV show, and then also trying to run a business and also trying to be a family person. My social life took a huge dive. I didn't see any of my friends for 3 years. For some people, 4 years. And I caught up with them now after I finished filming, and I'm like, hey guys, I know you guys have always been there for me, and I'm sorry I wasn't around the last 3-4 years, but I had this really unique opportunity that it required 100% of my attention at a high level, and I didn't have time for social gatherings. I didn't have time for birthdays. I didn't have time for even my own personal health. Very embarrassing to say, but at 37, I got shingles from all the stress of the show and running a business and having brides and grooms, and making sure that we also fulfill responsibilities to them, but also understanding I have a once in a lifetime opportunity to shoot a show that I need to give 100% of myself to, at a time that came at a lot of sacrifice. So I did have a very tumultuous life. It wasn't rosy colored glasses. It was a lot of stress. It was a lot of stress. Yeah, to have 30 shingles at 37, even the doctor was like, "This usually happens to people when they're a lot older, Chandan, not at your age. Are you really stressed out?" I'm like, you could say that. I'm like, you could say there's a little thing called stress over here. Yeah, responsibility. You have a whole network depending on you that's putting millions of dollars into the show. And you have a whole community that you're trying to represent. And you have little kids who are like 7 years old coming up to you and be like, yo, I decided not to cut my hair because I saw you on the show. And if you can do it, I can do it, And you have that type of pressure, which is insane. You have 12 years old and they're coming through and they're like, my daughter loves your show, or my son is autistic and he relates to your show so much, and this is the happiest moment. I've had, Gore come up to me and they're like, my mother was 89 years old. She passed away last week. You have no idea what the show meant for her. I brought these flowers for you and your family just because I wanted to just express my gratitude for how much happiness you brought into the last days of her life. And you have like real life shit coming at you from what people say. And that comes with an insane amount of pressure to have to perform. And mom and dad is sick. Dad got hit by a car while filming. Mom was going through a lot of health issues. I was going through health issues. Chani just had 2 kids that she wanted to have privately and not disclose that on the show, and what kind of that implications that has on a new mother. And I solely am responsible for everyone's wealth and well-being and their ability to show up or not show up, and having the tough call to tell people, hey man, I know our call time is 8 a.m., but my wife has a headache right now, or I have a headache right now, my mom's not feeling well, I can't be there. And there's 50 people depending on you on a set right now who you can't cancel, who have been paid for. There's a budget for this shoot. And if you don't show up, it means you have a lower quality
All
product.
the logistics come into play.
All the logistics come
Life
into
is
play. And
here,
life
and the
comes into
logistics
play.
come in. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, and that was really tough. And so you have these real life difficulties that happen. The only way you're going to make it is if you're high performing as possible. So to your point, man, you gotta do meditation. You gotta work out. You gotta eat healthy. I'm a little bit
It lacks
stringent with what I
that's
eat and what I put in my body.
Sometimes it's just simple. It's just life. Shit happens, right?
Yeah.
And
And you
like,
gotta keep it balanced too.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
mean, I could have a day of eating healthy and then
I think balance is a facade that we've been fed, that people have balance, right? Like if you want to go somewhere, right, you got to break some spokes off sometimes, right? Because if you're working 12 hours, I don't have, sometimes, like a lot of the days now, I don't have time to go to the gym, right? Which was a major like component of my life. It kept me in check. It keeps my brain in check, and then also health and fitness. I think if you want to go somewhere, you got to be out of balance, because the scales have to tilt in order for it to move in one direction. And I think balance is something you attain when you autonomize some things, right? When you get some autonomy in your life, you have employees working for you, you have people answering your emails, you have people doing your social media stuff. Right now, we're the stage I'm at,
you're doing it all yourself.
I'm doing all of them.
Multiple hats,
I'm an
bro.
accountant,
And you
I'm a
have to.
media, I'm doing the sales, I'm doing everything, right? And that's fine. And I understood that, like, hey, this is not forever, but it has my touch, right? It has I'm in all of these components. Matab is in all of these components, and there's authenticity. There's a brand to this. There's Matab and Teshwar to this, right? The Saint Soldier Brothers, and whatever we're running on our jewelry side. And so I think the balance, you need to, tilt the balance as early as you can. And I think this is a good age, if you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, like the 30s are the new 20s, like when you really want to lock in, I think is like mid 30s. And that's when you get you get the crew members on the ship, and you don't have to row all the time. And so I found, and I think like maybe we're on the same topic, but balance is tough, man. Balance is tough if you want to get somewhere. Balance is great, I think, if you want to, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think people who have balance, I commend it. But like, if you really have that ambitious and you have that fire in you, like the people that we like to sit with, sit with those people who have the fire in their ass. Like they want to get somewhere. You got to break balance. You gotta really tilt the scales, and you gotta want something. You gotta lose some things. So. And I think you've done that. I think you've executed that without even realizing that you got a coffee and wake up early and just get
There's
to
no
it.
rule book to this either. So you just gotta kind of wake up every day and figure it out.
You gotta be passionate about it. It's what we talked about earlier. You have to really love what you do and just not do it for the money. Because if you do it for the money, that passion's gonna run out. That steam's gonna run out. The momentum is gonna run out. The momentum builds when you're actually passionate about it. I remember I had one of my competitors at a wedding approach me. They're like, Chandan, how are you posting every day? This is back in like when we first started our page back in 2016, 15, 17, around there. They're like, how are you posting every day? I'm like, dude, I just wake up in the morning and I know that as soon as my eyes are awake, I need to put something out there, some sort of content, something. So that's what I put as my first priority. Before feeding myself, before, talking to my family, I wake up and I hit the phone and I post something. And that's just having the discipline to know that, hey man, I'm using this right now to build momentum. So you just gotta grind it out and understand, why are you doing it? Find your why. I think that's also what really important in this sort of entrepreneurship lifestyle, is you have to find your why. And even if it's not entrepreneurship, even if it's just going to work every day, and if you have a 9 to 5, why are you going to work? Why are you? And is it for your family? Is it for this? And just have a clear why, and that just helps you get through every day.
Like, it's not like this like step 1, step 2 kind of thing. With our social media posting, the biggest thing I was pushing in the beginning, and I think we've done a good job so far, is that just consistency. Whether it's posting on social media or just talking to people, going to events, things like that. It's just consistency, right?
That's the hard part, man. Whether it's in the gym or whether it's on business
anything.
or social,
Yeah.
it's
It's your
anything,
diet, it's your fitness, it's your business. It's all consistency.
Easier said than done.
Ever since we walked out, like I've heard this before, but it was such an inspiration hearing you say it. You can ask anybody. I've been repeating this. It's not a matter of if, but when, right? Because if you run every single day, you're gonna lose weight. Like if you are gonna get more fit, there's no chance that you are going to be in a worse position than you were if you weren't. So things work, just you got to keep doing it, you got to keep refining, and you got to keep going, right? One day, that's how business is, right? Like 1 year it's nothing, second year it's nothing, third year it's like you make 4 years worth of work come to life in one single year. It's moments like that where you were like, okay, like it's working, it's coming, the things I wanted are coming, let's lock in, let's kind of make this happen. And then on your topic of this why, if you want to work for 70 years or 60 years, you got to do something you really like, right? And I think that's the key, is that's your why, is as soon as a big problem comes, you're gonna stop, right? As you were in the field of science, and you're doing biochem, becoming a pharmacist, right? When that big problem comes, you're not gonna care, because it's like you don't want to get to it. When you have that feeling where I'm gonna go to the airport myself, or I'm gonna take a flight to India to make sure that this happens, that's not built, like that doesn't come.
It feels good. It feels good to come through. It feels good to
deliver.
Yeah. And let's be real, like, it's no one's perfect. I'm not God. I'm gonna make mistakes over here, especially when it comes to working with suppliers and manufacturers halfway across the world that are on a different time zone, that speak a different language, that have handcraft workmanship on it. Not every interaction is gonna go perfect. That's just unrealistic. I mean, doesn't matter even if you're a South Asian business or not. It's perfection is not realistic, but it's all about how you handle it then. And that's one thing I did learn from my dad. He did teach me that your word is your bond. When you shake someone's hand and you give them your word, you deliver. And so that's one thing I've always tried. I don't think I've ever quit on anyone. If I work till my last moment possible. And mom is the same way and dad is the same way even today. And to your point, yeah, they enjoy working. If they sit at home, they'll be like, oh, God, back
they
a
get
depression
bored,
movie. What am I doing
they
here,
can't.
right? Yeah, they don't want to.
And they honestly, they shouldn't, because
They shouldn't.
that's
It's not
where like the
mentally
mental
healthy.
aspect for them will not be good. Like, they need to have that fulfillment. They need to be working. Even maybe like sometimes they'll cut it back hours or whatever,
Of
but
course, yeah.
they need to be doing something. They're not.
Yeah.
They're from a different generation where they just
Yeah.
can't chill
No
at
way.
home.
No,
But that's
know?
longevity, man. Willpower
Yeah.
is what fuels longevity,
Yeah.
right? You have to have that like that inner kind of like, I'm not doing this because the money's coming. I'm doing this because this is my representation as who I am, right? This is taught in Sikhi as well, right? That like as like the first 5 gurus come, like they were saints, but the last 5 were soldiers, right? And that's what like the 6th guru kind of established, is that and that's why we're called saint soldier, right? We want to establish that duality, is that you aren't just here to meditate all day. You're not just here to become spiritual. So we are meant to work as humans, as people, as you know, we are here to have a purpose, and no one is like, our gurus have never taught us that you're just here to like kind of learn the ways of life. You're not apart from this. Buddhism teaches this. So many kind of religions and let's go through cultures have taught that you are here to like, you have a job, right? Like and then back in the day it was kind of like your last name, right? So we're lucky enough to be goldsmiths, right? We are sanyare, so it's in our blood to do this kind of work, right? And it's an honor to kind of like feel like that we are here doing this for a purpose, right? Like our ancestors did this. We're not away from this. They speak about this in the Gita, right? That this is your job, whether you like it or not. You have to do something. You can't just sit there, right? And I could get deep into this, but it's the same reason why Guru Nanak Dev Ji didn't pick his son to be the next guru, is because he was a devout meditation person, and he picked someone that was able to take this service and then also extend it forward, right? Guru Angad Dev Ji. So anyways, I don't want to go into that much, but it does prove the point that, and it accentuates the point that it's how important it is that we are embedded and in love with what we do in our craft, right? And that goes far with us.
Yeah, and to serve.
Yeah.
You know, and to serve. It's important as well. It's in our
and to give
religion
back.
to serve and give back. Yeah.
To
Seva,
give
right?
back. I think whatever you give,
You have to be in a position to do so. I mean, unless you're able to take care of your own needs, it's hard to give back to the community. If it's like, yo, man, I can barely pay my rent. You know, how am I supposed to, you know, there's definitely other ways you can do so. I understand that. And it's amazing, that commendable, a lot of people that do that. They give their personal time. But if you have the ability to financially do well for yourself so you can give back even to an X amount, why would you not take that opportunity? Why would you not work that hard? You know, how much money can you possibly need? I think that's one of the things that, you know, the show's definitely humbled me, is that once we hit this sort of level and I'm like, okay, you know, we got the store, we got the second store, we got the CBC show, now we got the Netflix show. It's like, what's next? And people are like, season 4. And I'm like, but I've already hit this level. I've hit this pinnacle. Like, if I just draw it out, it's not going to allow me to increase the utility anymore. I'm not able to serve more people by just making more seasons. I would love to expand my business so I can earn more money, so I can give back more as well. I can make more legacy. I can do more for the community. I could do more, you know, for what's going on right now, you know, and it's important that you continue to achieve, to strive and hit new goals. I think that's one thing that some people don't do. And I know that there's a big suicide rate for a lot of celebrities and people that get famous or people that attain certain things, because it's like, what next? If you just keep on chasing those hedonism things, you're not going to really feel fulfilled. But you have to set new goals too. I think that's one thing that sometimes people don't do. They buy the fancy car and the fancy house and like, okay, well, what's now next? And they get into, you know, nashe and drugs and this and that, and their life is over, right? And so it's important that you set new goals.
A lot of people talk about it where it's like, let's say you have a goal of buying like a car, a fancy car, and it's like, okay, you've saved the money, now you get the car.
Yeah.
And that excitement is gone
It's
within
cool
like
for
seconds.
a month. It's cool for a year.
Yeah,
And then it wears off.
you know,
when you get it, it goes away,
yeah.
man.
And
It
I've
does.
experienced that. Like, I'll be the first to say,
Yeah, same here,
like,
man. I'll be the second to say
yeah.
I went through that, and I was like, man, like, no matter what car I buy
Yeah,
or attain
seriously.
or whatever, it's not gonna feel any different.
100%, yeah.
So, do I really need to chase those things, or can I, you know, kind of chill out a little bit and still be enjoyable?
Still have things to like aim for. I think having aim in life is very important. Like, strive for it, but don't put your like don't put all those eggs in that one basket.
basket, right.
When I get that watch, or when I get that amount of zeros in my bank, like, then I'll be happy. Then you're gonna be, that's the road to destruction.
That's the road
right?
to destruction, 100%. That's the one thing I do not recommend people to do. You know,
No,
it's
hard
not,
though.
It's not the right
It's getting
path.
harder every day, because now it's like in front of your face every single day on social media. We're
We got
seeing
rental cars and this
Yeah.
and that and Airbnb homes. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, but I mean, I hope that podcasts like this, they do inspire the next generation and does give them tips and tools and thought process to be like, hey, man, maybe I can look at things a little differently. And, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come onto this podcast, is just share whatever little bit that I've learned throughout my life. And I still have way much more to learn. I still feel like I'm just starting in my career. I feel like, okay, now that I've got the platform set, the base set, now, okay, what I really want to create, what I want to do, what I want to create for my life and the others around me, my loved ones. And now it's, I feel like, okay, now the platform is set, and I'm excited to see what's next, man.
Yeah, no, that's important, man, because you have now the ability to reach a lot of people, right? You have the tools to help a lot of people at once, right? Because if you go on there and you throw an Instagram video up and you're saying, "Hey guys, like let's donate to the floods in Punjab," right? You're able to help people faster than somebody else, right? So it's your responsibility that when you're chasing that success, and you don't forget to look back and realize, like, what am I coming up to here for? Do I want to just like get it, or do I want to leave a good legacy like our parents have, right? The values that they've transferred, those things are gems, and as I'm getting older, I'm the youngest sitting in this room, Matab's getting older, you're getting older. I think you realize that, like, the importance of community, because you can get it all and have nothing, like it's a very like lonely world for the people at the top. And you want to make sure that you're bringing the family together, you're bringing everybody that brought you to where you are. You make sure that everyone's taken care of, and that's something that's worth living for, I think, because when you're sitting there and you're in a room and you're with your boys or your family and you're shooting the shits, and it's like, how much have we been through together, right? And it's like, you're not guilty sitting there. You're not like comparing watches or whatever. It's for the right reasons. So I don't want to use greed as the word, but like, definitely realize when your limit, you've done good, and then kind of share window. So I think that's something that you're doing through this platform. Like, thank you again. It's been a great honor to sit here with you and to learn from you, because a lot of the questions I'm asking you, we didn't send you any of these, right?
No,
Full
no,
disclosure.
I wanted
we
to
all did on
just go
purpose.
like, don't give it to
Yeah,
him.
no,
yeah.
Don't.
I was like,
Yeah, because
I
I
get
wanted
too nervous otherwise. Yeah,
I know,
same
you
thing.
start rehearsing it and stuff, and
it's
you
not
don't wanna,
authentic, right? I didn't want you to expect the questions. I didn't want you to know what we were gonna kind of pose in front of you. You gave us the platform to let you spread what you do, right? To bring awareness to what you've gotten going on Chandan Heritage, right? Your new location, your new the brand that you've built, right? And your family's built. And then also for us, right? To because a lot of the questions I asked you, I sat there like, what the hell is this guy about to say? Because I need to learn, right? The idea that one thing me and my brother looked right at each other was when you said, don't use CapCut, don't use all these, just post it. And like, I try to do that, but me and my brother were like, yo, like, I'm nervous, right? I'm shy. I'm still at the point where I'm like, what do people think? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's got to be
the
a
moment
good.
you can stop giving a shit what people think about you is where you guys are really cocooned to a whole nother level. The moment you just stop caring, I'm telling you, it's so liberating. It's so liberating knowing that I don't care. Like, I remember I used to care. I wasn't always like this. I remember I once did a documentary back in 2011, and it was called Village of Dreams. And there was a review on the documentary, and someone had shared the review link with me, and I was like, oh, let's see what this says, right? And it was at multiple different businesses. I was one section of the documentary, and someone had wrote that Chandan Singh is a Snapchat happy kid who is just having fun in his father's store. And that's all that was, a one perspective of me. And at one point I was like, Snapchat happy. I was like, you know what? They don't understand that I am not trying to create here. I'm trying to document my journey. I'm trying to document building this business. And there are people that have been watching me and following me since 2010 or so, right? That have been following along my journey on social and everything that I've been trying to share in my life. But that was really important to me. And I decided not to get upset for it because I think I believed in the concept. So I think, to your point, you have to believe in what you're doing. I believed in what I was doing was positive. I believed in what I was doing was beneficial for what I was trying to accomplish, which was building legacy. And I don't think if I was as prominent on social media that a company like CBC, a very tight government company, would have rolled a dice with someone like me. I know they were watching me and probably following me for months and months before they ever sent out a contract to me to see what type of values I represent, what type of things do I discuss, what type of topics do I discuss in business, etc. So, I was able to just be authentic and be myself. And I think that's something that attracted them. Yeah.
Said that's the one characteristic that seeps through the human soul, I think, is that
Yeah, man.
your
Authenticity.
authenticity.
And that's a wrap on the Saint Soldier project and Chandan collaboration. Super fun filming with this guy. We filmed a solid 2 episodes with him. And honestly, catch us on all the major podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Talk to us. We'll engage with you guys. And honestly, I'm really excited to see where this takes us. Thank you for listening.